Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome everyone to the Governor's announcement today. My name is Brian Summers with the Governor's Office. I'm going to be giving you a quick overview of the program today. The Governor will be making his remarks, and then he'll actually be introducing the other participants in our program himself. I wanted to let everyone know that after the press conference, 3 individuals from the Division of Air Quality, Bryce Bird, Joe Thomas, and Patrick Barrickman, will be available to answer any technical questions you have and give a brief overview of air quality efforts within the state and just sort of the 101 on air quality in Utah. So please stay after for that if you'd like to. After the end of the program, we'll also be taking a few quick questions from the press. And now I'd like to introduce our 17th Governor, Governor Gary R. Herbert.
Well, thank you, Brian, and thanks to all of you for taking time to be here today on what I think is going to be looked back as a historical occasion, a beginning of something good for all of us. As most of you know, we're here to talk about air quality. And one thing that we all agree on is we want to have better air quality. We all understand the importance of having good air quality. We want to have clean air to breathe. And it's not a partisan issue. Democrats, Republicans, Independents all want to have clean air to breathe. Business people, educators, professional people, average citizens want to have clean air to breathe. And I think we all probably need to recognize that here in Utah, right now, today, we have an air quality problem. And we ought to start doing something about it. And we've got some ideas today that we want to share with you as far as what we can do and what all of us can do in solving kind of a unique challenge that we have here in Utah with air quality. And let me just give you some facts too that I think sometimes we forget. And I don't want to be too hypercritical here about the air quality, because the air quality is in fact better today than it was 2 decades ago. So we've made strides in the right direction, and we ought to feel good about that. We've cleaned up the air in a significant way, but we have more yet to do. Because of our mountainous terrain, the topography, we find ourselves here in this beautiful valley, along with our weather, and we can't really control the weather much, but that combination gives us inversions in the winter and stagnant air in the summer, which allows pollutants to build up, in fact, give us some really bad days of air. And although our bad days of air are probably around 20 per year, they're as bad as any place you can find here in the United States. I mean, we have LA kind of air on those 20 days. And so we need to, in fact, recognize that and understand that we can, in fact, do something better. We have had success thanks to our Division of Environmental Quality, our DEQ and our DAQ, and the work of the cities and many people out here, particularly industry, as a point source. We've had great success in meeting the federal standards. And we've done that in spite of the fact that we are a very fast-growing state. Our population is the 2nd fastest growing in America. And we have internal growth here with high birth rates and larger family sizes that make it a little more difficult for us, in fact, to make strides in cleaning up the air as we have increasing population. But some areas, in spite of our successes, some areas of our state are having some significant challenges. And the challenge that we face in where it be the Uinta Basin or up in the northern part of the top of Utah or down in Utah's Dixie or the central part of our state or here on the Wasatch Front, we all have unique challenges when it comes to this air quality. And I think all of us understand and appreciate that air quality, and if we have bad air, it is detrimental to our health. And clearly that's got to be a concern. We hear people talk about it all the time. Air quality, bad health, respiratory problems, etc. But it's not just health. It is our overall quality of life. We want people to come here and not only appreciate the beautiful valleys and mountains and the regions that we have throughout the state, but understand that we have a high quality of life because we have cleaner environment. So health, quality of life, and last but not least, is our economic opportunity. If we, in fact, do not address the quality of air that we have here and improve it, we will, in fact, stymie and stifle our ability to develop economically. That means less jobs, less prosperity, and will certainly have a dampening effect on the good quality of life we've come to appreciate and enjoy here. So today I'm announcing that we're going to start a new program, really build upon other programs that are going on. This is not the beginning. This is kind of a continuation of other ideas and programs that have been out there. And hopefully as we bring in more people to the fold, we're going to have better end results. And the program we're starting is called Utah Clean Air Partnerships, or UCARE, U-C-A-I-R, UCARE is the acronym. And the core principle of this approach is that all of us, each of us, can do something, however great or small it is, but each of us can do something to improve Utah's air quality. And we're right here today to kind of invite participation. We are calling upon all of us as a community at large, as the state of Utah, whether it be industry, whether it be government, whether it be individuals, families, business people, for all of us, our school districts. I mean, everybody has a role to play here in finding a way that we, in our individual responsibilities, can in fact improve the air quality here in Utah. And I believe that we can do this in setting achievable but yet vital air quality goals. Now, I'm going to give you 4 component parts to our approach here, which is going to be somewhat unique, but I think something that we can all come together on. The key components of the UCARE campaign are these. 1, it's going to be a statewide campaign. This is not just something here in Salt Lake City or here along the Wasatch Front. This is statewide, with everybody looking at what they can do in their individual areas and responsibilities. So from Bear Lake to Utah's Dixie to the Arizona border to the Wasatch Front, from Colorado to Nevada, and every place in between. This is a statewide campaign that everybody's going to be invited to participate in. Secondly, this program is going to be voluntary. Again, people are going to say, oh, if you don't have teeth in it, if you don't have some punishment, not going to be some stick to thump people with, it won't happen. I reject that. I think that we can, as a community, come together because we think it's in our own best interest to improve the air quality, and working together in a voluntary fashion, I believe we can get good results. And I would just illustrate the point by saying, a few years ago we started what we call the Slow the Flow campaign. Slow the flow, save H2O. Again, we're in arid climate. We need to, in fact, conserve water. And we've done that on a voluntary program, and our goal was to reduce 25% of our water consumption by 2020, and we're at 20% right now, so we're on track to do that, by the way. And that's all been voluntary. We've had an awareness program, but people have stepped up. And interestingly enough, with our reduction of 20%, just to show you the magnitude of that, we've been able to save enough water every year to fill the Energy Solutions Arena 9,200 times. Who would have thunk, how much water that the Energy Solutions Arena would hold, but we can fill it up 9,200 times with the savings we've made on our Slow the Flow campaign. So I know volunteer efforts can, in fact, work. We've proven the point. Some of it is just a change of attitude. It's a change of mindset. It's like a lot of us didn't even know what recycling was before, but now we recycle. We go out of our way to recycle our aluminum cans and our paper and other products. Cities have recycling programs we put in place, and it's kind of part of our nature anymore. We want to make part of our nature conserving energy. It's like putting on seatbelts too. Again, my generation didn't even know what a seatbelt was. Now most of us would not think of getting in our car and going anyplace without fastening the seatbelt. So part of what we're doing here in this volunteer effort is to change the attitude, change the ethic based on awareness and new concern for the environment. The third part of this is going to be a focus on education. We want to educate all of Utah, all Utahns as the community at large, to understand the connection between what they do in their individual choices, although it seems like such a little bit. But those individual choices that we do on a little bit make a big difference in the end result of the air quality. I know we've done a lot of efforts in working with industry. Our point sources for pollution, we focused on industry a lot. And if you had the chart, you'd see that they've made significant reductions over time in the pollution that they are emitting over what they did just 20 years ago. But no longer can we just look to industry for the solution to the air quality problem. We all do a little bit in our life, in our lifestyle, but all of us, if we just take a little bit of a change in our lifestyle, we can make a big difference, because all of us as individuals and as families contribute to about 1/3 of the pollution levels we see in the air now. And we're not doing our part. Industry's doing their part. They're going to have to continue to do that and some more. But it's time to call upon the rest of us to make sure that we're doing our part as individuals to take care of this other 1/3 that pushes us into these red air quality days. So this awareness education program will help us to understand that our little contribution can coupled with everybody else's, can make a big difference. And last but not least, the fourth concept here is really one of partnership. I'm inviting business and industry, local government, state agencies, advocacy groups, and all Utah households and individuals to become partners in this collective effort. And again, I believe this really is a team effort. This is an all-hands-on-deck kind of a call to action. It's an idea that working together for the common good and these attainable goals, we can in fact achieve them. And I think the voluntary approach of finding Utah solutions to this unique Utah problem is what we're talking about here today. Now let me just kind of finish up here and say this, that the state is going to lead by example. And state government has an opportunity, in fact, to lead, and we will lead. And let me just mention some of the things that we are doing as we move forward. The state currently has 432 hybrid vehicles in the state fleet, 81 of which are clean-burning CNG vehicles, with more of them on the way. Secondly, the state operates 7 CNG fueling stations and has dispensed more than 300,000 gallons of CNG, compressed natural gas fuel, in the fiscal year 2011 alone. The Department of Environmental Quality has pursued an ambitious program to retrofit diesel school buses like the one you see here. We have a clean diesel program we're retrofitting, again, to help minimize pollution. And we're going to work with our school buses throughout the state and have not only clean diesel, but see if we can have some CNG fueled buses also. DEQ is also working with the trucking industry and working with them to install auxiliary power units. We've had those demonstrated, which will help our semi-trucks as they go up and down our freeways to eliminate the need for idling. Again, a source of pollution and that we can do away with better technology. Our Department of Transportation, I guess both are represented here today, our DOT and our DEQ, has dramatically reduced its energy consumption, and that's part and parcel of what we're trying to do. If we can reduce our use of energy, we eliminate and reduce the amount of emissions. And they've done that by reducing their use of hot asphalt mix. And by reducing their use of hot asphalt mix, we've achieved a 49% reduction in 2011 alone. Again, saving significant emission and pollution. UDOT also is providing tools now through their Travel Wise program to help individuals to plan their day and reduce their own personal emissions by carpooling, trip chaining, and other Travel Wise strategies. So in summation, let me just say that there's more information that you can find about our UCAIR program. You can go to UCAIR, UCAIR, .utah.gov. So we have a website that's there designed to help you find specific strategies, to get suggestions of what we can do as a community working together. And we want people to sign up and be a partner in this effort, to make that attitude change, to make a commitment, to make a determination that we together we're going to work on our air quality and clean it up. I think it's much better for us to do it voluntarily, by the way, than to have the heavy hand of government come along and make us do it. Sometimes government makes mistakes in the decision process. So let's see if we can do this voluntarily and clean up the air. We're going to roll out more. This is our beginning. We're going to work together with you and others throughout the state as we firm up processes and ideas and use good examples that we can demonstrate throughout this state as we clean up the air. As I mentioned earlier, we cannot control the weather. Today is a beautiful day. We could have an inversion here just as easy as not. But we can't control the weather, but we can all do something and make a contribution to cleaning up our air. So what I want to make sure we stop doing is pointing the finger at somebody else. Well, it's their fault. We've got dirty air here because of them, because of this industry, because of this business, because of these people. We need to quit pointing the air, because if we're pointing the finger in the air, then we're missing the point. The point is that all of us, every one of us, every single one of us, have an opportunity to contribute and work together to clean up the air of Utah. And that's what this UCare partnership is all about. So thank you for being here today. Let me now take some time to recognize some of our special guests that we have here with us today. Darlene Burns, if you're here, just raise your hand. Okay, Darlene Burns, Uinta County Commission. Again, a significant challenge out in the basin with air quality and ozone. If we don't get that taken care of, we will stifle the ability for us to get our energy drilling out there with natural gas and oil. So it's a big economic development issue for the people out in the basin. Craig Wagstaff, Senior Vice President of Questar, and Ray Butcher from Questar, again, our host here today. Thank you very much. Again, they've been great. We have fueling stations up and down I-15 and throughout the state, in large part because of the efforts of Questar for CNG. Amanda Smith, Executive Director of the Department of Environmental Quality, and my energy advisor. Amanda, right here in the front row. Alan Matheson, my environmental advisor. Where's Alan? Right here in the front row also. Members of the DEQ's Air Quality Board. If you're here, raise your hands. We've got a bunch of them here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your help. Steve Sands from Kennecott, Chair of DEQ's Air Quality Board. Steve, right here. Thank you, Steve. Kim Hood, the Executive Director of the Department of Administrative Services, runs our state fleet. John Nord from Utah Department of Transportation. We thank all of them. There's many in the state government doing their part to help with this effort. Now we've got the opportunity to hear from three very distinguished presenters today, and so let me introduce them. I'll introduce them, and they can come up in order. Jonathan Johnson will be our first presenter as the president of Overstock.com. We all know one of Utah's most successful businesses we have here in our state, and we're proud that they call Utah home, doing a great thing in growing the economy here in Utah and providing jobs and economic opportunity and good quality products at good competitive prices. He's also the chair of the Salt Lake Chamber's Clean Air Task Force. After Jonathan, we'll hear Dr. Michelle Hoffman. She's a pediatrician and medical director of Riverton Hospital Children's Unit. She's also the founding member of Breathe Utah. And after Dr. Hoffman, we'll hear from Andrew Gruber, who's the Executive Director of the Wasatch Front Regional Council, which develops transportation and land use plans for the Wasatch Front. So we'll go in that order. Jonathan?
Thank you, Governor Herbert. Clean air is important to our economy and is a priority to the business community. That is why the Salt Lake Chamber has established a Clean Air Task Force. The Salt Lake Chamber has a long history with air quality issues dating back into early in the 20th century. In fact, in 1942, we had an airplane that would fly around on particularly bad air days to see who was burning coal. Well, things have changed since then. Our air quality is much better, and our natural beauty is a real draw and an attractant to businesses. Businesses come to Utah for a number of reasons, but one of the hurdles for getting some businesses to come is the gunky air days. I know that at Overstock.com, when we've had exit interviews for people leaving our company, some have said that it's the bad air that was causing them to leave Salt Lake. So it's important that we clean our air for those we're trying to recruit to come here and for those of us that live here with our families. Bottom line is that our poor air quality can have an adverse economic problems. Sometimes it can keep us from getting federal funding so we can continue to build highways, and the sanctions can hit businesses particularly hard. I want you to know that the Salt Lake Chamber has an air quality initiative underway. We've recently created an award called the Clean Air Champions Program that encourages and rewards businesses for voluntarily implementing clean air best practices. For some of us, that means incenting our employees to carpool, giving them monthly stipends and preferred parking places to do that. It can mean encouraging and paying for public transportation passes. There's a whole array of things that businesses large and small, can do to help keep our air clean. Utah businesses want to be good citizens. We want to help keep the air clean. The Chamber appreciates Governor Herbert's efforts to help coordinate the many existing quality initiatives in the state so that we're pursuing similar goals, looking at the same type of data, speaking the same language, and consolidating and simplifying the alphabet soup of government and quasi-government agencies that participate in regulating air quality. We also think that because the air is a common, something we own in common, that this is the perfect thing for government to be involved in. Otherwise, we'll suffer what's called the tragedy of the commons, where any one person doing what's best for them will use the common commodity to the detriment of everyone else. When that tragedy occurs, it's right for government to step in and find a way to coordinate better practices. Governor Herbert, it is clear that by using your bully pulpit that you care. Please know that the business community too, we care. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, for having me here today. Air quality has actually been a passion of mine for about the last 6 years, and I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and I've had the pleasure of working with many of you. I know some of you even have health problems that are influenced by air pollution. When poor air quality impacts how you or a loved one feels, it's a powerful motivator. My own motivator is my 8-year-old son with asthma and the many children I see in the hospital every year with lung disease. In the United States, asthma is the leading cause of missed school days and a leading cause of childhood hospitalizations. In 2010, 240,000 Utahns carried a diagnosis of asthma. 1,500 were hospitalized, and more than 7,000 were seen in an ER for their asthma. I can tell you as both a parent and a pediatrician what a scary thing it is for a child to feel like they can't breathe. When you all go home today, I challenge you to try this experiment. Get a straw and see how long you can breathe through it before you start to feel uncomfortable. It might be a minute, it might be longer, but that's what it feels like to have asthma. Air pollution not only triggers asthma, it may play a role in causing asthma. It makes sense. You breathe in dirty air, and this is harmful to your lungs, even if you're healthy. And this isn't just about asthma. Science has shown detrimental effects beyond our lungs. We are talking about heart attacks, strokes, heart rhythm problems, even premature death. Repeated exposures like those our children may experience growing up along the Wasatch Front can cause permanent lung damage. There is so much we still don't know about air pollution. And while I can list for you many more diseases linked to air pollution, from prematurity and low birth weight to Alzheimer's disease and autism, there is much more work to be done in understanding the precise mechanisms of these associations. But we don't need to know all the answers to act. Our air quality problems are not going anywhere anytime soon. And one important takeaway message that I hope we all take away today is that we need to learn how to protect our health when we know air quality is poor. There are many great tools to help us. The Division of Air Quality website provides real-time air pollution levels, and the Utah Department of Health's asthma program has developed a symptom tracker tool that allows you to correlate air pollution levels with your own symptoms. There are guidelines for when to cancel recess during an inversion, how to safely exercise outdoors during the ozone season, and there's a series of YouTube videos that were recently put out that present all this information in an easy to understand way. I think everyone needs to go find these resources and share them with their friends. All these tools have been developed locally through interagency and community collaboration. In many instances, there were no national guidelines to direct us, local solutions for a local problem. We need to see much more of this. In the time I've been working on this issue, I've seen many useful solutions come as a result of imagination and cooperation with fellow Utahns. Governor Herbert mentioned the school bus retrofit program. I was privileged to be a part of that program many stakeholders, led by the Division of Air Quality, came together and raised over $2 million to clean up our state's dirty diesel school buses. There were some difficult questions to ask, though. Do we clean up a few buses really well, or do we clean up many buses less well? With the hope of providing some benefit to all rather than maximal benefit to few, we went with the lesser fix. What that means is we still have much more work to do, but in the end we have done something that makes a tangible impact. During these difficult economic times, we are faced with even more daunting challenges. In a state that's rich in natural resources and relies heavily on extraction industries for its livelihood, how do we rectify opportunities for job growth and creation with myriad air pollution sources that have well-known and frankly costly health effects? A real understanding and, more importantly, balancing of health and environmental costs with opportunities for economic gain are at the heart of the sound clean air policy that we must develop together. Today I want to challenge our leaders not to lose sight of the health message as we move forward. While this may be a little cliche, maybe some of you have heard someone in difficult times saying something like, well, at least I have my health. Unfortunately, in many ways, this isn't really true. In fact, we know when it comes to air pollution, those facing the most adversity are often the hardest hit, in part because they live closer to the sources of air pollution, like industry and our major roadways. Our health suffers from the choices we make every day, whether it's a big decision like deciding to issue another air quality permit, or a smaller, more personal one, like choosing between driving to work alone in your car or taking public transit. Today you've heard that we all contribute to the air pollution problem, that our health is suffering, and that we all need to be a part of the solution. I wanted to finish with some questions for all of you. Please raise your hand and keep it raised if you answer yes to any of the following. Do you or does someone you know have asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, COPD, cystic fibrosis, heart disease, heart rhythm problems, stroke, diabetes, lung or other cancers? So the rest of you must be pretty healthy. How about this? Keep your hands up if you had them up. Have you ever felt like air quality has interfered with your ability to be as active as you'd like to be outdoors? Have you ever gone up into the mountains to escape our air pollution? Okay, everyone, keep your hands raised and look around. It's pretty shocking. Now for the challenge. Keep them up there. Please keep your hands raised if you're ready to become a part of the solution to air pollution. That's encouraging news. Now time to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Herbert. I'm very happy to be here today to talk about air quality, which, as we've heard, is one of the most important issues that we face in Utah. We enjoy an unparalleled quality of life here in Utah. People from all over the world are drawn here because of our natural beauty, our strong economy, and our friendly communities. But as Governor Herbert noted, as one of America's fastest growing states, we can't take that quality of life for granted. Our population is expected to grow by 2/3 over the next 30 years. The way we grow will affect our children and our grandchildren's quality of life and the quality of the air they breathe. We're faced with important choices, and the path we take will have long-term consequences. If we continue our current growth patterns, the number of miles traveled on our roads every day will come close to doubling, which leads to more traffic congestion and more air pollution. Now, the Wasatch Front Regional Council is made up of the cities and counties along the Wasatch Front who come together to plan for the future of transportation and land use. Recognizing the challenges and opportunities presented by our state's rapid growth, we've worked with thousands of community members and businesses and state and local governments to develop the Wasatch Choice for 2040, a vision for how we can grow and preserve our quality of life. Now, based on market and demographic trends, the Wasatch Choice for 2040 creates opportunities for growth to occur in centers where people have housing and transportation choices. In this vision, the number of miles and time people spend driving is reduced because public transportation is more convenient and efficient, so more people will choose to use it. Driving is also reduced by giving people the option to live in a community where the places we go each day, home, work, store, school, recreation, are closer together, so people can take shorter trips or even bike or walk. If we do this, if we choose to grow in this way, we'll help to control the growth in traffic congestion and the amount of miles people are driving, while still moving the necessary goods, services, workers, and customers for businesses to thrive. We'll save time and money, and will limit air pollution. When combined with continued improvements in cleaner burning vehicles and strategies such as carpooling and telecommuting, this will make a real difference to the quality of the air we breathe. We've put tremendous effort into our air quality program and will continue to focus on this issue. But we won't accomplish our shared goal to have clean air if our efforts are disjointed. We all have a role to play, and we all need to work together. That's why it's so significant, and we're so grateful that Governor Herbert is bringing us together and leading this effort. This initiative will help us to work together to make transportation and development choices that will promote cleaner air, a healthy economy, and a high quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming out. Governor Herbert's now going to take a couple of press questions. Again, I'd remind everyone that after the press conference is over, we've got Bryce Bird from the Division of Air Quality and a couple of other representatives from his division that'll be answering any technical questions, and they're also going to be able to explain why we have these cars here and these vehicles here and how they contribute to the state's and businesses' efforts to clean up the air quality in our state. Thanks. What was that? Bryce. Hey, Bryce, could you come up with your folks?
Yeah, come on up, and again, stand up here, and I'm sure the press is going to want to talk to you and maybe ask some of the technical questions and things. And for the panel that's here, the presenters, if there's any questions of the press, we're happy to take them now. Yes, ma'am. Did you hear that, Jonathan? Incentives? Well, that's part of what we're looking at now. We have some incentives for people that, with our energy development, that use cleaner energy and CNG cars and access to HOV lanes and those kinds of things that we have. So there are some incentives. The question is, should we do more? Again, this is a partnership effort. This is kind of a culmination of efforts that have been done in the past, trying to bring together and make it a statewide basis that's voluntary. But we're inviting people to partner with us. And so we have a web page, Utah.gov, opportunities for you to give comments, suggestions, and we will evolve this thing and probably have some more programs and some more suggestions in the next 2 or 3 months to roll out. So this is really not the end. This is kind of a culmination of other efforts and a new beginning as we voluntarily, on a statewide basis, change our attitude and say that I have an opportunity, I have a responsibility to do my part. It can't be just industry, and it's really all of us working together. The question is, do I think it'll be good enough to avoid federal sanctions and federal mandates? And my hope is that it will. I think we can actually address the issues better here. We know our own backyards and own terrains and our culture better than the federal government does. So my hope is as we get ahead of this, just like we did on conservation of water, on a voluntary basis, we can make a significant difference. And I believe the people of Utah will respond. And I think we have opportunities to change the mindset with our education and awareness program. So that's my hope. If we don't, then we have to worry that there's going to be some stronger medicine that's going to come on some kind of legislative front. and that could maybe make it difficult for us on our economic development opportunities, as Jonathan's talked about, in other areas that I think would be unfortunate for us. So I think we need to get ahead of the curve, volunteer. We're doing this out in the basin, by the way. The commissioner knows that we're doing a $4 million study now out in the basin with the help of industry and state government and local government, saying we need to find out what it is that causes our ozone problem out in the basin. That's all being done on a proactive basis to be in front of this stuff. So proactively, voluntarily, we're going to solve our air quality problems here in Utah. With that, we thank you very much for coming, and if you have some questions on the technical aspects, we got people here. Thank you very much. Together, we can make it happen.